Hey cruise team, it is Coach back with you. 3 days in a row now. Like I said, I took that week off and I'm trying to get back at it here now. So today I wanted to focus on something. I wanted to try to be a little positive today. There's some negative news in the cruise news world, and one in particular, just to touch on it. An elderly woman who passed that was actually on the same cruise as me, and I believe I saw her because I saw a picture and I remember seeing her, and it just breaks your heart to hear about that. Just really quick, I heard Derek and Tony reported on that. Derek from Island Time and Tony from Alita Loca reporting on that, and it turns out that Carnival came out with a statement saying that basically they're sure that she didn't get COVID on the Vista, which I find is a very bold statement. That how do you know for sure that that's the case? So Carnival said they didn't want to comment any further, but I'm interested to find out how they can be so certain that it didn't occur on the Vista. Like I said, I'm not concerned about it. I think the safety precautions that all the cruise lines are taking are they're doing what they need to do and what they're supposed to do. But I'm just kind of curious how they could be that definitive in saying that. But I wanted to get on to something more positive, like I said. And so the idea I came up with today is I wanted to give you my top 5 excursions or places that I've visited with Anita and that we just fell in love with and were amazed with in terms of being on a cruise line. I had actually written another one down, and then I thought about it and I was like, wait a minute, we weren't on a cruise when we did this. So I scratched that one out and put something else. So I'm gonna give you my number 5, but before I do, there was another channel or several channels, bourbon, those people that review bourbon and creators of bourbon. I'm a bourbon drinker, and I wouldn't call myself a connoisseur, but I enjoy bourbon, have tasted several and have several different ones in the liquor cabinet here at home. And so I've watched some of those creators, and they've done mini series where they kind of challenge other creators to list their top 5 or top 10 bourbons or whatever. So that's what I'm going to do at the end of this video. Stick around to find out who I'm challenging, and I'm going to ask for their top 5 excursions while they've been on a cruise. So number 5 is catamaran and snorkeling. Very simple. I'm not going to give you a specific port. There's many ports that I've been to and just had some wonderful snorkeling. And the catamarans can just be a ton of fun. In addition to the snorkeling you usually do, sometimes it might be a sunset cruise. You may not even do any snorkeling. Sometimes it might be a booze cruise. Those are a lot of fun too. Actually, most of them end up as a booze cruise when it's all said and done. After snorkeling, they usually start passing out the beers and the rum punch and everything else, and by the end of it, everybody's best friends for life. And that's part of the reason that makes it so much fun, because you're out in the beautiful crystal clear waters and you go snorkeling, and it just feels wonderful, and you see all the beautiful fish and hopefully some turtles or something like that, the colorful coral and the white sandy beaches, and it's just a wonderful thing. And it doesn't seem to matter where you go, as long as there's clear waters and you got that sea air blowing in your face. It's a beautiful day. It's tough to beat. So that comes in at number 5, and I'm going to give you number 4 in just a second, but enjoy the video and pictures right now. Anita.
All right, sir, 2 hands on, so with that pole, lean back. Perfect, oh yeah. 3, 2, backflip in his future. I see it. All right, next up, let's do it.
Get that one? You got it.
Dowling, why do you cruise so much? You're always cruising. Oh, I don't know. Maybe that's why. Cheers. All right, so coming in at number 4, this one's kind of a surprise because I've done a lot of cruising and been to a lot of ports and a lot of different excursions and many, many wonderful ones. And maybe it's because this one is so recent and, you know, it was a couple years almost since we were able to cruise again. Maybe it's because it's so fresh on my mind. I don't think so, because it was pretty fun. It was a lot of fun, actually. And it was an adrenaline rush. It was a little mini workout. But that was a video I just did recently on our most recent cruise, actually. And that was the DAMAJAUGA waterfall excursion. For those of you that haven't seen the video, what it is in Amber Cove, Dominican Republic. That's the port. There's a lot of different tour companies that you can choose from that will take you to DAMAJAUGA waterfall excursion, and it's about a 20-minute plus hike, I guess, depending on how fast you hike up the mountain or whatever. With our particular group, I think we took 2 or 3 different stops. It's a decent little climb, and I mean it'll get you breathing hard. Depending on how fast you're climbing up or whatever. I know in Anita's case, she needed to stop and, you know, catch her breath on the first part of it. And after that, she was fine. I think we stopped a couple more times. But I think part of it, honestly, is I'm not one that's very good with heights. And I'm also, you know, hesitant about the unknown. So the uncertainty of jumping off these waterfalls combined with my, I guess I can call it, fear of heights probably leads this one to being such an adrenaline rush and so invigorating and that type of thing. But you're jumping off, you know, some waterfalls that are 25 to 30 feet high. And the part that, you know, in addition from the height that scared me initially is I'm just trusting complete strangers when they tell me that, you know, I jump into a certain part of this river and, you know, I'm not going to hit bottom and be paralyzed from the waist down or something like that because, you know, I jumped in too shallow of a spot. I'm just trusting, you know, like I said, complete strangers. So, you know, I mean, it was, that first jump was the biggest one too. And I think they said it was 27 feet. And yeah, that was scary. And you see a video of Anita, I'll show you at the end of this little clip, jumping off, and then I jumped off right after her. But then after that, you go down a series of smaller waterfalls and slides, natural water slides, where, you know, you're just jumping into these deep pools of water. And then the water on top of it is so cold and refreshing. You come out of it feeling rejuvenated. You feel, you know, healthier, younger. I mean, it's somewhat of the fountain of youth. So that came in as my number 4. So enjoy the couple pictures and the video here, and we will get to number 3.
Jump pencil. 1, 2, 3.
Al ataque.
No, that was something. in the water, don't swim there. You swim back, you know? Stay in the corner. You need to wait to another guy. You can have to wait for another, you know? Jump in the middle, only step. Don't jump flat. Only step. Mini jump. Alright, stay in the corner, only step.
Just go right
Yeah,
there.
it's more deep in the middle. You need to jump a little bit carnival. Bomba. Bomba is more better.
What? Yeah. Wait, he told me to do a cannonball, so. My butt grazed the bottom. That was fun though. That was fun. All right, that was jump number 2. You got to swim in this one. Anita, stay with the group. We're the first ones.
Second.
Oh, second. Okay.
First one to jump though.
All right, so we're going to move on to number 3, and I'm very, very fond of this. Obviously, it's one of my top 5 in the 30 plus cruises that I've been on, you know, in all the different places or whatever. Now, I did not count Europe. Anita and I were blessed enough in 2016 to do a Mediterranean cruise. I did not include that in there because I know that's not an easy thing to do for most American cruisers is to go over to Europe, you know, on a regular basis. So I wanted to kind of keep this close to the United States or ports, you know, that originated in the United States and went to the Caribbean or wherever else like that. So that might be another video, but coming in at number 3, we're going to get to the port of Belize. And what we're going to do in the port of Belize is we're going to take a boat ride about 30 to 40 minutes, depending on how fast your boat is, to Caye Caulker. It's the Caye, and off of Caye Caulker is this place that they refer to as Shark Ray Alley. And as you might guess, it has sharks there and it has stingrays there for the most part. And when you get there, these sharks are not, you know, great whites or anything like that. They're nurse sharks. But if you've never been in the ocean with sharks, you see these things swimming up, and they're nice size, you know, fish, or I don't know if they're mammals. I forget what sharks are referred to, where they qualify, but they look like sharks, you know, at least from up top. When you get in the water and you see their faces, they kind of remind me of catfish a little bit. They got the little scruffy little, I don't know, beard. I don't know how to say beards, but you know how catfish look. They got the little pointy stuff in the front of their mouth or whatever. So they kind of look like that, and they have little teeny tiny baby teeth. And I think they can bite you, but they're not. They don't. I mean, nobody's that I've heard of I've ever heard of a nurse shark biting anybody. I think actually once maybe, but it would be so rare that, I mean, honestly, you don't have to worry about it. But when you get in the water, there's probably 2 to 3 dozen of these things swimming all around you, and they don't pay any attention to you. And then you see the stingrays, they're swimming right underneath them and all that. It's really, really, you know, a wonderful experience. And then, you know, in addition to seeing the sharks and the stingrays and the water just being absolutely beautiful, crystal clear, it looks like a swimming pool, then you usually go on to a couple other stops for snorkeling, and some of that snorkeling's amazing. Some of the coral, if you go to Coral Gardens or, you know, somewhere, it depends on which stops they take you to, but some of the coral and the fish that you'll see is this absolutely breathtaking. So that comes in at number 3 for me. So take a look at the video and see if that's something that might intrigue you if you haven't done it. I think most people that have done it would share the same sentiment, though, that it really is amazing. So when you go to the Port of Belize, look into it. Look into it. It's a little bit of adventure, a little adrenaline rush, and just absolutely amazing. All right, so we're gonna go on to number 2. Okay, so coming in at number 2, this one is one that you've heard me talk about a lot. I know COZUMEL, probably, right? And you could tell me if I'm wrong, but COZUMEL is probably the most attended port of any Caribbean port that, you know, I know of. I think I've probably been to COZUMEL more than any other place. And it seems like most people, when they go to COZUMEL, it's just, you know, beach day, drinking day, and there's nothing wrong with that. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. Beautiful beaches. I know Mr. Sancho's is one of the favorite places, and I've been there probably half a dozen times, and I've enjoyed myself every single time. One place I enjoy myself even more, though, just because of its sheer beauty, is El CIELLO. You'll see in the video and the pictures, I mean, it's just breathtaking. Not only that, but, you know, I mean, when you go to Mr. Sancho's or whatever, you're usually with friends, and you're hanging out, and you're having a good time. You're at the pool bar, or you're at the beach, and you're eating, you know, the unlimited food or whatever that they can offer you, and the unlimited drinks, right? And you're just enjoying yourself and enjoying life as you should. El CIELLO, I think, takes it to another level because it is just absolutely beautiful. You're in this massive sandbar in the ocean, and the water is just to die for. You know, when I die, cremate me, put my ashes there, I'll be happy, honestly. There's stingrays just swimming around by your feet. If you've seen a couple of my videos from El CIELLO before, you know, I'm showing them on video all the time. They're just swimming around like nothing. And everybody is just in the beach. I mean, in the El CIELLO sandbar or whatever. Everybody's just waist deep in water, you know, having a margarita, having a beer. Usually, depending upon which tour company you go with, they're going to make you, you know, homemade ceviche or homemade guacamole and chips and, you know, other snacks and foods that you can enjoy while you're just basically having, I call it the world's most beautiful tailgate, because what ends up happening is you end up seeing about 30 plus boats just parked out there, and then each boat, you know, has, depending upon the size of the boat, of course, from, you know, half a dozen people to, you know, a catamaran that might have 50 people on it, and everybody's just partying and having a great time in the middle of the ocean. And before that, before you get there, most tour companies are going to take you snorkeling, and it's this wonderful snorkeling. Of course, it depends on what spot they take you to. And then the second spot, usually before they get to El CIELLO, is they usually take you to see, you know, what you can sometimes see is like hundreds of starfish, about 6 to 8 feet deep in the water, and just in a very beautiful spot where the water is crystal clear, almost as crystal clear as El CIELLO. So that is my number 2. My number 1 might surprise you, especially if you haven't been there, but we're going to give you that right now. What's up, everybody? This is Coach. We are coming to you from COZUMEL, Mexico, and this is El CIELLO. You see all around me, it's like the world's most beautiful tailgate party, is the way I describe it. But before this, you get to go on a couple snorkeling stops, and then you just come here and everybody parties. You see our little boat back there. That's where everybody, our group from yesterday, at COZUMEL Beach in Belize, we were all partying. But yeah, I mean, this is always like one of the biggest highlights of cruising. And here's the thing, you know, for those of you that are only gonna go to COZUMEL once, like my buddy, it's a first-time cruiser. I mean, we can party and drink anywhere, but where are you gonna see this? Okay, so I know everybody loves the all-inclusive bars, and trust me, I've been there several times, and they're great, Mr. Sancho's and all the rest of them. But if you're only gonna come here once, I mean, why not experience something like this, right? And you can still party. As you see, our boat there is getting the beers out and the chips and guacamole and tequila and everything else. And we're gonna have our own little party right here in the middle of the ocean. And you see our friends back there and the other boats all around us doing the same thing. So not everybody knows about this because it's not talked about very much. I have a friend that lives down here, so that's the first one that told me about it, and I've been coming ever since. But again, I'll still go to Sancho's and party because that's a good time. But if you haven't done this, you got to do it at least once. And like I say, there's some amazing snorkeling. As a matter of fact, there's some stingrays. I don't know if you'll be able to see them. They're just swimming around here. Those big black circles you see moving, those are stingrays. If you can see them, hopefully you can. But it's just, again, it's just absolute paradise. So I guess that's my coach tip. We'll check in with a couple more videos here once we get sauced up a little bit. But I hope you think this is as beautiful as we all do. Talk to you later. Okay, so my number one is Alaska. All right, and I'm going to actually give you two spots because one isn't really an excursion. It's just part of being on the cruise ship. Costs nothing. If you're on a cruise ship, chances are you're going to get to go to this place or somewhere similar to it, and that is Glacier Bay. Okay, well, in our case, it was Glacier Bay. Now, we have not been back since our honeymoon. So we're going on, you know, it's 18 years now. But we went on our honeymoon, and it was actually my choice. I had heard people talk about it. I had just got my master's degree, and I remember this one lady, while we were in the process of earning our master's degree, it was a bunch of teachers, and we kind of would take time off from work over the course of 2+ years, and we were in these cohorts. And well, anyway, she had said she went to Alaska, and from somebody that's normally thinks about places like Hawaii, the Caribbean, everything else like that, and I said Alaska, and you know what you think of if you've never been there is you think of snow, you think of cold, you think of icebergs, and you're like, why does somebody want to go there? You know, but Alaska is absolutely beautiful in the summertime. You know, the snow is melted, the mountains are majestic, and in this Glacier Bay, when we were there, I mean, it's, like I said, 2-3 of the most surreal moments I ever remember on vacation was this Alaskan cruise. And, you know, we were at the Glacier Bay, and the cruise ship looks tiny next to these glaciers. I mean, we all know how massive the cruise ships are, right? They look tiny next to the glacier. And it's just so peaceful, quiet. The air is the most pure air you're ever going to breathe in your life. And then you hear that rumbling that sounds like thunder. And you see the big, massive chunk of ice just, you know, crashing into the water or whatever. It's just so majestic and peaceful and just amazing. And the boat is turning around, you know, at a snail's pace. So both sides of the boat, you know, can see the iceberg or whatever. So we were in a balcony, and the first side of, you know, was not our side. And so we watched it from the top, and then we're like, oh, they're spinning around, you know, let's go down to our room and watch from our balcony. And what we ended up doing is, you know, we were drinking mimosas while we're perched in front of this massive iceberg. And I mean, it was just one of the coolest experiences, you know, that you could ever, I mean, how can you top that? You know, you're sitting on your balcony in Alaska in front of an iceberg, just, you know, having mimosas and everything. And I mean, how can you get better than that on your honeymoon? So it was just a wonderful, wonderful experience. On that same Alaska trip, we went to this little stop, this port called Sitka, okay? And anyway, I'll save the funny story for last, but, you know, we were walking through and, you know, we come to these large rivers or streams or whatever, and I kid you not, there were so many salmon packed into these streams and rivers or whatever that if you took a net, you would seriously scoop up like a dozen salmon. I mean, that's how packed they were together. As a matter of fact, I saved a couple salmon's life. I just want to, you know, go on record, because they were so packed together that they would, you know, be jumping going upstream, and they would knock each other out of the stream or river. And, you know, I found a couple of them flopping around on the side. You know, they couldn't get back into the water. So, you know, I grabbed a stick and I went down and, you know, knocked one back into the river or whatever, knocked a couple of them back in actually. And yeah, so hopefully they got a chance at survival or whatever. But just to see that with your own eyes and experience that, you know, pictures can't do it justice. I got a picture, but it's not the one that I took. I got it off the internet just to give you some kind of an idea. And the next little story, in the same place, the same little national park there in Sitka, and we were walking along, and about 100 yards in front of us, we see this couple, and they look at us, and they're doing one of these, you know, like, I turn around and I'm like, who are they talking to, you know? And they're like, you know, they say, point at us, and it's like, yeah, you guys, you know, come here. So we're like, okay. So we start walking toward them or whatever, and as we get closer, you know, about 10 yards away or so, you know, they're telling us to be quiet. And so I'm like, okay, you know, strange people, what's this all about? And you know, they continued to say be quiet, so we were, and they walked us back in 5 yards or so, maybe 10, and then they pointed up, and a branch not more than 5 feet above us, there was this massive eagle, fully grown, you know, the white head, everything. It must have been, I mean, I don't know, maybe I'm exaggerating, but from where I was standing, and it was standing on the branch, it looked to be 3.5 feet, maybe 4 feet tall. I mean, the thing just looked massive. And I mean, it was like right there. I mean, so close I could almost touch it. And it didn't even seem to, I mean, it had to know we were there. It wasn't looking like directly at us, but it was like right there. And it was just the coolest thing. And after, you know, a couple minutes, that couple left, and I remember whispering to my wife, and I said, I'm not leaving. I'm not leaving. I'm not leaving until this eagle flies away. And sure enough, I just stood there and I just soaked it all in. And I would say about 10 minutes or so, it finally, you know, decided it was going to fly away. And this thing went out of the branch, and I mean, its wingspan just spread out. I mean, it seemed like it was 7 feet wide. And this thing just, you know, soared down like a, you know, a hang glider, you know, close to the rocks, and then swooped up and, you know, flew away. And I mean, that was just awesome. And then, I mean, and you're in Alaska, and I swear, you've seen eagles flying around like you see pigeons in New York. It's just such a cool place. And so, you know, if you've been thinking about Alaska and you're like, I don't know, it might be cold, you know, whatever, get that thought out of your head. It's going to be amazing. You're going to love it. There's a reason why so many people go to Alaska. And when you go the first time, you'll understand why. I can't wait to get back there again. And we will, you know, we will in the next couple of years or so for sure set up another Alaskan cruise. So that's my top 5. I hope you enjoyed it. the little video clips and the pictures that I inserted here, or will insert once I get done recording here. And now the challenge. So, my guy at Island Time, Derek, I'm challenging you, buddy. I want to know, and your Islanders want to know, what your top 5 excursions are that you've ever been on. You know, either yourself, with Amanda, whatever, while cruising. I want to know as well. All right, so what's Island Time think about that? So that's the challenge, my friend, and we want to hear about it. For those of you that don't know, Island Time is another cruise channel, just like me here, Coach Cruise, and puts out a lot of great content and a lot of cruise news on a daily basis, and in addition to content like I post as well. So go check him out, and let's give him a couple days or so to come up with this list, see what he comes up with. Hopefully he does, and yeah, we'll check it out and compare and contrast. So that's all I got for you, cruise team. It was this was a fun one today. I hope it cheered you up a little bit more than some of the other unfortunate gloomy cruise news or whatever that's been going around. That was the intent anyway. So I hope I succeeded in that effort. And sorry if this video ran a little bit long, but it was fun rehashing some of those cruise experiences, and I hope you enjoyed it along the way. All right, take care, cruise team. We will see you soon.